We're back, part 3 of the Dr. Stephen Strange anthology, with Mr. Dr. Stephen. And the last episode we left off on just all of it.
Oh yeah, all of it. I would say that the last one was the Misery episode, which was misery to get through.
Just please hire writers.
Honestly. And so now, as you've all been waiting for, or at least I have been, we are going to be talking about the character beats that have been done in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the character of Stephen Strange. And so, a lot of the times when people are talking about the Marvel movies, they include No Way Home as one of Doctor Strange's, starring roles. And I would agree. But when I say there are 3 Doctor Strange movies, I'm not counting No Way Home. I'm actually counting the one that was produced in 2007. And there are a lot of changes that are done to the character of Stephen Strange in the 2007 movie that are somewhat of a blueprint for his appearance. I'm doing great with English today.
That's okay. I'm bad at English too. It's my first language.
That's right. It's my first language too. And so, appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which takes place, if I'm not mistaken, about 11 years later. Obviously, an animated movie is going to take a lot of time to produce because there's just a lot that needs to be done. And the art of the Marvel direct-to-DVD animated features it's decent. It's a little bit better than their animated for TV stuff, but it's still not good. So doing a Doctor Strange animated movie in the medium of animation is always going to be a daunting task because you have to put this legacy of art on the screen in a way that moves. You'll see that if you ever look at screen caps or actually watch the movie, the biggest change that you will see from the comics to the animated stuff is they go away from the organic feeling of the magic that is present in Steve Ditko's art, and then again in the comics that come after it, because in the comics magic can be drawn a little bit looser, it will be a little bit more organic. It's got this really goopy and goopy feel to it. The Way of the Weird, which comes out in 2015, really leans into the organic aspect of it, and that just how magic is just disgusting. But it's disgusting for many reasons. There's just so many. There's just not. We can't get into it. And in the animated movie, you'll see that suddenly you've got a lot of runes. You got a lot of geometric shapes. You suddenly got a lot of conformity to the body and very, 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 very stiff silhouettes. That is something that, a little bit of animation knowledge you have to do for animation projects to make them be able to read. With comics, you can blur it a little bit because there's dialogue that you can put in the comics you don't necessarily have to conform to readable shapes as long as you get the feeling down. With animation, if they are you have to nail this, or else it looks disgusting. And of course, there's smear frames, but this movie did not use a lot of smear frames, and it would have been better if it did. Smear frames, for the record, there's a great video by a YouTuber called Tennille Flowers that's going into the Dover Boys, and they go by he, him, they, them, and literally their entire channel is just animation, and it's great. If you're interested in that at all, that's the resource. And anyway, and so this movie is the movie that deviates the strongest away from the art style that is presented in the comics, because unlike every single time that you'll see Doctor Strange in the comics up to this point, he loses the way that his hair works. And suddenly you're not looking at a man with skunk stripes in his hair. You're looking at a black-haired man. And when he eventually does go gray, it's not in the a way of getting the traditional skunk stripes. And his his character arc is defined by the way that he looks. So you can tell in that movie how he is feeling by the way that he looks in his design, which is, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It is amazing what people that can draw actually know how to do.
Yeah, and character design, the Way of the Weird starts out with a very strong vision for Doctor Strange, but in the second book of the collected volumes, he literally changes his face, and there's just a throwaway line of "I look like this now. Don't ask about it," which is so.
Don't make a thing out of it.
Don't make a thing about it, and it's just like it's disgusting. And so, being able to define your characters by their outward expressions to figure out how they are feeling is something that is so intrinsic that you would think that comic writers would be able to utilize it a lot more, because they have the ability to literally just do that, because there's less production that goes into comic book writing than it does in making an animated film. But you know what? I'm not Marvel. I don't know what they were served.
Okay.
Sorry.
I know for a fact, right? Thanks people who do like hand-drawn stuff on YouTube, like the people that take like songs from stuff and put their own original characters into it, like animatics. Yeah. I'm like, this. You don't need to know the backstory of these characters. If they choose to tell you it, it's fine. But just from the emotion of what you're seeing on screen tells you a lot before you even get into the story. The song is just helping. This. And
you could absolutely do that with comics, and it's a very well known thing. Just like corporate art is never going to be good art. That's the bottom line.
I think that's the reason why I like Vivzy Pop's like Hell of a Boss, is because who gets paid to draw these like still frames of these faces? Because the faces tell me a lot more than sometimes what's being said on screen. It's great.
Right? Yeah. And like good Doctor Strange, like actually like good Doctor Strange comics, use the art and the expressions and everything to tell the story, because obviously the writer's not going to do it.
Please hire writers.
Please hire writers. And then you get, and then like, so this the 2007 came out right before Iron Man, and then Iron Man was a huge success and it launched the MCU. Everybody put F's in chat, I guess F's in comments for the MCU's Hulk. We are never going to get another Hulk movie.
I think
unless we get She-Hulk.
Yeah, I think the reason why we never do the Hulk movie is because that Hulk movie was just so bad that it's like, oh, there's so much like bad CGI. It was bad CGI even when it was back in the day that it came out. Like, this is rough.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about the Hulk, but I do know one thing about the Hulk. He's always going to be, like, uncomfortably hot. It's okay to make him uncomfortably hot. Just make him hot. The more you make him ugly, it doesn't remove the hotness. No, it's just weird hot.
I'm pretty sure, right? It's like, if you're a monster fucker, this appeals to you. If you're questioning your sexuality, this appeals to you. If you're a 15-year-old girl, this appeals to you. No, I'm not gonna explain the last 3. Take it and go.
No. And even if you're a young boy, you're questioning your sexuality, or you're not, you see this guy turn into like a huge thing. You either want to fuck the Hulk or you want to be the Hulk.
There is no in between.
There is no in between, or you could be both. And then there's the She-Hulk.
Well, I think that's the reason why, right? It's like, do I understand furries? No. But also I'm really mad because how the hell do you have this much artistic talent and it goes into drawing animals? I'm not even mad because it's animals. I'm mad because of your amazing art skills.
Right. And so like I really do think that the animated films for Marvel were them testing out what concepts did and didn't work. And because they were following the storyline of Doctor Strange that was closer to the comics, it didn't work. Looked great. Was awesome. The animation was a little like slow in places, and there's funny little things. But because they were trying to stick true to the emotional core of Doctor Strange, they had shit because there is none. There wasn't anything there, and so they went ahead with Iron Man. They gave it over to Downey Jr. and Downey Jr. gives this amazing performance of truly this insane batshit like guy who literally just takes his wealth and just like fucks off with it, but like in a fun way. And suddenly you see like, you know, people want Marvel like movies. People want to be engaged in whatever Marvel's producing, and then you suddenly get like second wins for like characters that like died off a long time ago because there's just nothing to do with it. Suddenly you have the ability to introduce fucking Thor, God of Thunder. Everybody like who saw the first Thor movie, you know, it was a mid movie, but it was awesome. Because you got this guy and he's just like this beautiful blonde man on your screen and he fucks up shit. That's awesome. You got I forgot his name.
Captain America?
Yes, thank you. You got Captain America and you've once again got a beautiful man fucking up shit on your screen. You got, you know, and it's just like, and suddenly there's this influx and demand for weird Marvel characters. No, like obviously if you put Spider-Man anywhere near a property, like Spider-Man's gonna be your guy, but they can't use Spider-Man because guess what? Sony owns Spider-Man, which amazingly, having restrictions on your storytelling makes you a better storyteller. It's just I don't know.
No, that's true. That's like a lot of people didn't know who Moon Knight was. Spoilers, I guess, for Moon Knight. A lot of people didn't know who Moon Knight was. But because they were like, we need to actually make this a cohesive storyline for modern audiences and write it well, and they did. They really did. And it works. And most people now are like, there were comics? I want to read the comics. Please don't read the comics. They're rough to get through.
Yeah, and especially with a character like Moon Knight, who's got multiple personalities, you know, DID. But like I have never read a Moon Knight comic in my life, and I know they weren't fucking calling it DID back when the comics were being produced. I know it. Because
they probably didn't have a name for it. They were just like, he's got a lot of people in his head.
Yeah, and like there was a name, like the original name for it was multiple personality disorder, like MPD. So there was a name for it. Yeah, that would be around in the 70s. If it aired anywhere, if it was produced anywhere in like, you know, the last 50 years before they changed it, because DID is actually kind of like a recent term for it. They probably would have called it multiple personality disorder, which now that's kind of seen as like, well, I mean, that's not exactly, and it's just like older people. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. There's a whole lot of like discourse on the terms to call stuff, and I do not have the capacity in my head to go into it.
Right, but again, right, it's like sometimes if your art is just honestly abysmal but you have a good story, a better artist will draw it for you and it makes it good. But there is very little an artist can do if your story is crap.
Yeah, honestly. And I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, we've had a lot of comic like movies lately, and I literally can only think of like Iron Man, Captain America, and Ant-Man. I'm trying to like oh, Thor, obviously, also Thor, and I'm trying to like remember, like, because there was like a whole shit ton of them, and I saw like all of them, but I can't remember. I can't remember all who showed up in the Avengers. Well, I mean, Hawkeye and like Black Widow never got up. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And so like you have to thread the line of like you have all these like comic heroes, and you have to give them compelling storylines, because even if you're Marvel and you're making shit ton of hand-fists over money, people are suddenly very engaged, and they have Twitter, and they know how to find your house. If you piss them off enough, they will show up at your house. And there's just no way to stop that, because these people are crazy. And we live in a world where we're so connected that you just can't get away from these people. So they either like it, or suddenly you're in a whole lot of trouble. Which is probably not a good thing at all. But suddenly the shit you say matters.
Right, and look, even if your opinion is just like the Lindsay Ellis thing, right? I'm sorry, what they did to her was so messed up.
It's so messed up.
But I also agree, right? Because I was late to the party watching that stupid movie. I watched it and I was like, this is just a really boring movie. I'm sorry, Disney. It was a boring movie. I don't know who greenlit this, but it was bad.
Yep. And so, and then so at a certain point you start running out of comic characters that you can put up on the big screen. And it's just I'm sure that they wouldn't have wanted to include Doctor Strange because, Doctor Strange's cells have always been abysmal. And the only thing that they look out with cells is what kind of cells are you doing. But at the same time, it's just well, I mean, what character do you put up on the big screen that is not going to get your ass eaten out that we haven't already done?
Right, and then they did the exact same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. Also abysmal comic sales, but because of the movies and such positive reception to it, they've gone up. And then people realized, this is rough. Because the writers literally got the source material, literally slammed back a Red Bull mixed with coffee and said, oh man, I need all brain cells firing to make this sound better than it's not.
And so you're left with a situation of we are in 2018 now. Our last run of the Doctor Strange comics kind of fell off, and we were having to do stuff with Secret Empire. Secret Empire, for people that don't remember, is the Hell Hydra arc of Captain America. Well, I guess this probably would have been in production long before that, but still, this particular run of Doctor Strange comics had one run of 10 good issues. That's it. That's all it had. And everything else from there just got weird in a bad way. And so I'm sure that they saw an initial uptick in sales because you got a good comic, and they're like, okay, well, Doctor Strange is selling well for the first time in forever. Let's make a Doctor Strange movie. And I am sure that they were sweating bullets when they were getting ready to release this thing, and the Doctor Strange comics were getting bad, because this is legitimately not good writing in the Doctor Strange comics. And sometimes sales reflect the quality of your work. Sometimes that's how it works. And then they served us with a genuinely amazing movie. But the way that they did it, and the way that they had to do it, is they kind of had to look over, God, I'm trying to do math in my head. It'd be almost exactly 50 years of history with this character that is just honestly a mess. And so there's just something that they had to do with this character. And my pet theory is, what they did with Doctor Strange for the MCU, and this is a conspiracy, is they actually were adapting something other than Doctor Strange. They were adapting the Phantom of the Opera, as told by Doctor Strange.
We've come full circle. We've come back to the Phantom.
We've come back to the Phantom. And, it's one of those things of why could you say that? There's not a lot of things in common with Doctor Strange in the comics and Phantom of the Opera. Well, how much do you know about the Phantom of the Opera? How vague can I get without this being a total assball?
Oh, I'm a super big Phantom of the Opera fan. Also, the books, he had a horse in the books, and they just completely said no in the movies to the horse.
The horse was in the Gerald Butler movie. You don't remember the horse in that?
I blocked out that movie because it was so, yeah.
It was so much. But no, the horse is in that movie. It appears right after the scene with the arms, when she's like right about to get into the boat, and he has her on the horse. Anyway. I apparently we do not talk about the reason why I have such great recollection of the 200. I don't know how to say no. I don't know how to say years anymore. The knowledge has left me. The 2004 the Phantom of the Opera.
Which, like, that lady, right, just suddenly belting out such a loud, like, clear sound, like, oh man, that's really good. But that's all I really remember about that movie being good. Everything else was like, I'm embarrassed to admit I was a theater kid because of this movie.
we all have those moments in our lives. Mine was Love Never Dies.
Ooh, ouch.
Ooh, ouch. And I will watch it again.
It's one of those things where it's like, but you hate the Phantom. No, I don't hate it. It's just, it's very cringy, and I've got to be in that, you know what sounds good, a trip down memory lane.
Yeah. And so, and the reason why I think they were adapting the Phantom of the Opera, other than the fact that the Phantom of the Opera is public domain, if you want to make your own adaptation of the Phantom of the Opera, you can sell it. Just saying.
We love public domain works because sometimes people get really creative with it.
Yeah. So, and but Christine Palmer does not exist in any of the comics. She does not exist. There are female characters that have similar design aspects to her. There are female comics that are doctors. There are female doctors that have been ex-girlfriends of Doctor Strange. That's in the 2007 movie. But her name is not Christine. I did check because I was very interested to see if it was. And then you have Doctor Strange himself. And the biggest thing that you need to know about Doctor Strange in the comics is that while he is a expert in what he does, they don't make it a point to make him an expert. In the 2018 Doctor Strange movie, they make sure that you see him do a surgery on screen. They make sure that he does some of the badass shit you can do in surgery for like layman people, and they make sure that you know he's hot shit. This is the Phantom of the Opera moment where he's belting out on the stage in his dancing moment with Christine, and he's showing everybody his shit. And that is so important because you have to forefront center the fact that somebody's good at what they do before you show them how you lose it. And Stephen Strange in the movies might not be scarred on his face, but he has a bigger, more devastating scar to him because he's not concerned about appearances. He's concerned about being a doctor. And the Doctor Strange comics will only incidentally like brush on the fact that he can't do surgery anymore. And like, you know, even in the movies, I say plural, but even in the 2007 movie where it is literally his origin that you see on screen, he does doctor shit, but like it's mostly him just like hanging out in Tibet with like you know, Wong, because like Wong's not his boyfriend, but like, you know, he's hanging out with Wong a lot, just hanging out. Not gay at all.
No homo, bro, right?
No homo. But like, I said this to a friend. I'll say it here. The 2007 movie is somebody really wanted to animate their boyfriend from the Doctor Strange comics, and that boyfriend was Wong.
It's the only explanation.
Yeah. And like Doctor Strange is also like fantastically like drawn and animated in that movie too, because like, I mean, there's just, he's got the drip, and and some movies take away Stephen Strange's drip, and some, like, the image that I provided for you to have on screen is based on his second costume change in the original comics. You'll notice that he's got like yellow gloves with like shit on them, and he's got like pants and a sash and a shirt, and like the shirt's a lot fluffier in like the actual comics. It's like a full-on like one of those like costume pirate shirts. It's crazy.
Sir, and I don't know how to say this without sounding mean, but you look like a whole ass gay dollar bill.
Yeah, no, legitimately. And the cloak in the original comics starts out blue, turns red. It's red with like like the Loki horn spirals that like the classic Loki horn spirals. He has that on like the cape, and it's just he wears it on ironically. And when the cape gets fancier, it just like gets this gold trim that's got like weird squiggles on it. And like I appreciate that this is what they think is cool. I have provided this image, and I have given him shoes in this image. The original Doctor Strange only has him tights. He has no shoes. He is wearing tights. It's not gay though. It's not gay.
Sir, you have leggings on. I don't know what else to tell you. Like,
no, it's not even leggings, because leggings are open at the bottom. He's wearing tights.
Oh.
They're closed toed.
Sir, you're wearing a leotard, please.
No, legitimately.
You're just one corset away from like doing a show.
And so it's just interesting to me. It's just interesting to me that when we see the Doctor Strange outfit in the 2018 movie, that you get like the dark blue. It's not black. It's dark blue. It's navy blue, and the cloak is red. And it's like, well, of course it's going to be red. That's his traditional wizard's garb. But if you were trying to stay like show evolution through his character via wardrobe change, you would have given him the blue cloak, even though it's not as visually striking. But you know what the red cloak looks a lot like with the dark blue outfit? Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, just I see what you're doing. You're not slick.
No, but it's like, okay, whatever. And obviously it's not like, obviously in this one he's not like a creep about Christine. He's not obsessively following her. He's not killing people to get her, and he's got his own thing going on. He's a little obsessed, but like he gets over it. Oh, what? What's that? I'm getting a call? Oh, there's a character like that in the second Doctor Strange movie? Oh, interesting.
I will be completely honest, the second Doctor Strange movie makes me upset because of all the writing inconsistencies. I'm like, you guys need to get all of your writers together in a room so that way they can exchange like notes or like Google like emails so they can open up one giant ass document of everything they've done.
I mean, I think you misunderstood me, so I'll go ahead and clarify that for you. In the second Doctor Strange movie, we're once again back with Stephen Strange. He's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme because he gave his fucking time stone up to Thanos, and in the meantime, Wong, is not a war criminal and becomes the Sorcerer Supreme in his absence. We see that Doctor Strange has yet to accept the fact that his best friend that he's not in love with, it's weird for him to like actually like give him deference because he feels like he's unable to accept the fact that like the position's no longer his. And we also see that he's struggling like with his relationships to other people, and then he's really sad that Christine's getting married, but he decides not to like make it weird at her wedding because he's just like, I'm trying to be a better person essentially, and he throws himself literally headfirst into the first thing that he can see that gets him out of that situation, which it's relatable. And we see a Doctor Strange in this movie that because of his experiences with other people and like just like general like we have to make this character likable, he's not an asshole. He's got asshole tendencies, but he's not an asshole. And then we get into the position of the multiverse.
Every single version of you is a horrible asshole. Like, it's time for self-reflection, bro.
And it's not even that, but we only see one version of Doctor Strange on the big screen. There is, of course, what if, and then, like, Steven goes on his, like, rampage of whatever and becomes, like, if I'm remembering correctly from the summary that I read, he becomes, like, the guy that everybody else has to fight at the end of What If. But, for somebody who's obsessed with, like, Doctor Strange, you think I would watch this shit? I did not. I refuse to pay for Disney Plus. I'm a cheap bastard.
That's why you get your friends to give you their stuff if they've got it.
Oh, true. And the one Doctor Strange that we see him die, right? We see him die on screen. He's got the blue cloak, because I was talking, he's got the blue cloak that's, reminiscent of, and it doesn't matter. And it's one of those things of like, Wanda does a total team party kill, everybody dies, and Doctor Strange kind of has to fuck off to like another universe yet again. Local man just can't fucking keep it together. And he goes to the space of the incursion. And of course, here the incursion means two different universes that got squished together that kind of like fucked over the universe, both of those universes, and they're like stuck together. And it's kind of like a hellscape. Nobody's alive there, except for one guy. And that one guy is, of course, Doctor Strange. By the way, if it's not clear, this is spoilers. And he comes down the stairs and he's got like his outfit on. And he's visually darker than Stephen Strange that we've been following around. And he's got like the dark cloak on, his like more severe facial hair. He's got like the slicked back into the style that is reminiscent of the original Doctor Strange comics, because the original Doctor Strange is what was cool back in like the 60s for like older gentlemen. So a whole lot of shoe polish in his hair. For the record, that's like the hair grease stuff. They call it shoe polish. It's not actually shoe polish, but that's like whatever. Hair wax. And it's really interesting that the fight between Stephen Strange and evil Stephen Strange is conducted in a very interesting manner. Do you remember what it was?
Dun-dun-dun-dun. Just music everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Music. As in, they are alluding to something about music. Because they are referencing the Phantom of the Opera, even though they're not using the music for Phantom of the Opera.
It just sounds like somebody wrote a really well-constructed, super weirdly detailed, like, Phantom of the Opera fanfiction, but wanted it to have superheroes, and then we got Doctor Strange from this writer, which I'm not even mad about.
I'm not even mad about. And it's explicitly said that this Doctor Strange has been going around to other universes, killing any Doctor Strange that doesn't have a Christine. Like this man is obsessed. Like, he has decided that not only if he can't have Christine, nobody gets to live. And
which is just such a weird, like, bro, I think you need to talk to somebody moment.
Yeah, no, legitimately. And, like, that's one of the things that, like, the Marvel cinematic universe doesn't talk a lot about. But, and in some ways they can't. But, like, the reason why they can't, like, really go too deep onto that is because they can't be like, oh yeah, our Doctor Strange has depression and has suicidal ideation.
Oh, we can't talk about the mental health stuff. People will get upset.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And it's like, and even in like the comics where he's literally dealing with misery, suicide is brought up, but it's very clear that he's also struggling with it, but he can't talk about it. And it's one of those things that, like, Marvel is alluding to very serious topics, but because of the censorship that they're putting on themselves, they are having to do it vibes only, and they're like, well, you get the idea. And it's just like, son, you can't give me the subtext that he's suffering with suicide ideation as he is right now. You can't say that he is wanting to kill himself in different universes, and then not expect me to not read in other shit that's in your subtext.
Yeah, like, I got the subtext of, okay, you figured out a way to go to different universes, and the first thought of you is just kill every version of myself?
Yeah.
That means when there's no more left, there's only you. There's only one other option when that's what course of action you're on. Yous aren't slick.
No, not at all. And that's why, and it's one of those things of, like, this is why they have to introduce Clea. I don't know if I mentioned, I'm sure I talked about Clea a little bit. Anyway, they get married. I forgot to, like, finish up that storyline. They got married, eternal bond of love, in this Mr. and Misery comic that I don't like. They end up breaking it off. And the way that they break it off is because Clea writes a contract that she puts into, like, magical storage that will only show up in the moment of greatest need. And it shows up in the moments of greatest need because of his love of Wong. Wong and Doctor Strange are boyfriends. They're just not officially boyfriends.
Right? Who the hell has a prenup ready for the eventual realization of he's gay, he doesn't know it. We gotta get there.
No. And I should clarify once again. It's like, she had written the contract with the idea of, like, you know, taking it out. So it wasn't because, like, it was going to appear eventually. It just happened to appear in that moment because Wong had hired a contractor.
Of course.
And because the contractor was breaking up the house, and then the contract turned into a demon. And so they needed a contract broken with the contractor. But it just so happened to show up because Wong was in danger.
Why do you guys write like this?
That's a long roundabout way to saying, like, yeah, no, the reason why this showed up is because he's in love with Wong.
But that wasn't in vogue and in fashion to say, how dare you?
This was in 2017.
I know, but, like, Marvel, okay. I say this with all the love that I can put into my heart right now. Which is not a lot.
No.
Both comics, actually. All comics have this weird thing.
All comics, yeah.
Where everything must be done to this weird, like, manly Puritan lens of, like, the 1940s still. And I'm like, I beg
That's
you,
weird.
Please come into the modern century. We have internet.
We have internet. Oh my god. Clea shows up at the end of the last Doctor Strange movie. It's one of the after credit scenes. I think the mid one. I'm not excited for her run. Honestly, they did do a lot, but, like, with Doctor Strange as a character. But one of the reasons why the Doctor Strange movies were as emotionally solid as they were is because they weren't actually taking emotional stakes from the comics. They were following, maybe not directly adaptation of Phantom of the Opera, but they were taking very strong emotional beats, cues, like the archetype from a story that works, primarily because the Phantom, in the end, when he gets everything he wants, he goes, I'm good. Live your life. Be happy. I'm fucking off.
Imagine that. Somebody got to the end of their character arc and was like, I'm done with this, dude. I want to go home.
And, while I think there could be like a good story to tell with Kalia, the issue with Kalia as a character is that she is deeply rooted in a series that does not care about emotions. And the Doctor Strange that we have gotten loves people. And he doesn't just love people quietly, he says to them that he cares for them.
Who's ever doing the writing is doing a good job.
Doing such a good job. And oh my god. And sure, like, he says it to, like, an alternate version of his ex-girlfriend. And there's issues there, buddy. But you said it. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Right?
And so, it's one of those things of, like, having Doctor Strange actually express emotions and meaning them and not shying away from when he's saying stuff that he believes is true. I don't know how they are going to be able to do the Kalia arc, because Kalia already exists in the movie. They called her Christine Palmer.
I wonder if they're gonna try and shove this Mr. Misery crap into the MCU.
I don't know.
I really hope they don't, because you will have ruined one of your better developed characters, please.
Honestly. And the reason why Doctor Strange, the movies work, is because they weren't writing Doctor Strange. They were writing a 42-year-old man with the last name Strange.
They were writing about a guy going through it.
Yeah. And they weren't centering the fact that his name is Strange in the movies very much. His name is Strange. They make jokes about it all the time, obviously. But they were having a complete character with an incidental name. And that is always going to be better than designing a character around what their name is.
Right. Like, I say this, right, because I'm going to draw it back to, like, the Spider-Man thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, right, there's different iterations of Spider-Man. There's Gwen Stacy, there's Miles Morales, there's Peter Parker, and then there's Peter B. Parker. They're all Spider-Man, but all of them have their own different backstories, their own different way of doing things, how they fight, all of it, and all of them are well-rounded, three-dimensional characters, all with the same moniker. This, though, specifically Doctor Strange, there can't be a second Doctor Strange. Why? Well, for one thing, Doctor Strange is its own, like, weird mini-universe of the Marvel Universe. So trying to make a second, like, oh, they're also Doctor Strange with the same superhero name won't work, because it's his title from medical school and his legal last name.
Yeah. And like, I will say there's one big, like, I don't think I've gone into the Ancient One as much. I don't want to go into it right now. The TLDR is simply making her a woman makes her a better character.
And having her beat the shit out of him in the first movie? What a way to introduce her.
Yeah, and like, okay, I guess I'm gonna get into it. I wasn't gonna get into it. Let's get into it. Okay, because, like, Doctor Strange goes, like, so in the comics, Doctor Strange goes to the Ancient One, sees him, he's like, oh, I'm the Ancient One, magic is real, and Doctor Strange goes, fuck you, old man. And as he's walking out, he notices that Mordo is, like, pulling some shit, and he goes, what the fuck is going on? And Mordo is trying to kill, like, the Ancient One. And so, you know, being a doctor, Stephen Strange's first idea is, I have to go tell him. And Mordo, like, puts like a muzzle on him, very kinky. It's every time they draw it gets hotter. And makes it impossible for him to say anything about the shit that Mordo's doing. And so the way that Strange gets around this, he goes back to the Ancient One and he's just like, bro, I've thought about it. I want to be your student. And the Ancient One goes, fucking sweet, and just instantly breaks the curse on himself and Strange, heavily implying that the reason why he let himself be cursed by Mordo is to manipulate Strange into becoming a student.
Which just reads as sketchy.
Yeah.
No matter what way you do that, that's sketchy.
No. And like, they keep redrawing the scene where like Doctor Strange gets muzzled, and I'm just like, all right, who's doing this? Who's doing this?
Who is
raise hands?
Who is putting their AO3 fanfiction art in my comics?
Yeah. And so having this moment of the Ancient One clearly knows who Stephen Strange is, clearly has seen into the future, clearly knows that Doctor Strange could be a very powerful force for good, and then just like talking to him for a little bit and going, "You're sick, get out." And he's like, "But I want to learn," and she's like, "I don't want to teach you, bitch."
But
it's great.
It is. I also like that in the movie, right, specifically, as she is dying, and she stops time to have one last conversation, and her final words are, "I can't believe I've lived for this long, and I am literally stretching out this final moment because I want to watch the rain." And I'm like...
Because I want to watch the snow.
Because I want to watch the snow.
Because I want to watch the snow. Because I want to watch the snow. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's like this. Do you know how human this makes this character up until now?
Oh my god.
Because this is a very human... I just want to watch the sunset.
I don't want to go.
Right,
I don't want to go. It's all of the lines. It's all of the lines that like just get. It's just like, God. Oh god.
Because I realized that the most powerful lines of people dying are usually it's like, "Hey, can we go do that thing one last time before anything else?" Like those are powerful, right?
Oh god, yeah.
Because it's implying to you that they're scared. They're very scared. She's so powerful, she's literally seen this moment, her own death, thousands of times, and she still, I want to have this conversation.
She wants to draw it out. She wants to draw it out.
Right.
She wants to draw, oh my god.
And I'm like, oh, you guys did a really good job with this character, because up until that moment, she was just a really cool badass who was really powerful, but then this was like...
Oh my god.
Some part of you was still human, wasn't it?
God, and it's not only some part of you is human, but you've always been human, and you've always been just you.
Right. For people who want to write like this, if you're gonna make an all-powerful, extreme, like, deity-esque character, but you don't want to make them, like, less OP, this is how you make them be reminded and remind your audience they're humans still. It's just they've had more stuff put on them than that should have been put on them, and now they're at that point of they did what they had to do and they did it well, but it cost them so much, and their final moments get to be, I just want to watch the snowfall.
Oh my god.
It's like this. And you did so well.
God, and like there was this video, I can't remember who was doing it, but this literally wrecked me, and I'm still wrecked. I'm probably gonna like get off the call and cry after this.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's a good cry. But like how she has the ability to see all possible futures, and she knows how good of a friend Stephen Strange is going to be to her. And so in that moment where she's talking, like denying, like having Stephen, like be her student, she's making a choice never to have that friend. She's making a choice to like end all possible futures with him. And on some level, I think it was because she was trying to protect herself.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to be in that moment and have him by her side, even though she's seen it 1,000 times. Because she didn't want to be in that moment vulnerable to this asshole sitting next to her, being like, this guy.
Right, but it is such powerful writing, the fact that they introduce her as this all-powerful being who supposedly can see all possible futures, not only knew that her death was coming, but outright accepted it, except in that scant little moment that she, with the last of her power, was stretching till forever because I want to have this one last conversation with you, and I want my final moment. Mine. Nobody else's.
Yeah. And I'm sharing it with you. And I'm sharing it. And, oh my god.
It reminds me, right, tangent on this, it reminds me of the scene from the animated Justice League, where Batman is sitting with Ace, and can you hold my hand? I'm scared. Like, this. You are allowed to write the person that you are writing as about to die, that they're scared of it. It actually makes you a better writer.
It makes you a better writer. I don't think I fed my fish in this tank. Okay, I'll do that later.
But right, it's like, you need to remember, your audience is human, and human beings, no matter how much of a badass you are, death scares people. It scares people a lot. Even if people are not afraid of personally dying, death itself scares them.
And they, I also think that the brilliance of, particularly in this movie, they don't let the Ancient One linger. When the Ancient One lingers too long in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, just like in general, the Ancient One becomes the solution to a lot of problems. And so you're not relying on Stephen Strange being the best, you're relying on him getting the Ancient One in time. And that really kneecaps his own personal arc, because there's always going to be somebody else who can come for Doctor Strange if Doctor Strange fucks up. And the thing that I find most satisfying about the Doctor Strange movies, the unanimated ones, the live-action ones, is that there are times that he legitimately fails and people die. And the fact, and like, so like Mr. Misery is very highly implied that like in the whole like run he's killing people, like intentionally killing them. And he's just like, oh yeah, it's just, I'm the night, or
I am the darkness.
I'm the darkness. And that moment that he kills that guy out of self-defense, and then he just starts to cry. Because he's a doctor, damn it. He's not the guy who takes lives. He's the one who's supposed to save them. And that moment of compassion for somebody who was trying to kill him, and that moment of, I didn't want you to die, I wanted you to stop. And that being a personal failure for him, even though he's alive, but the win conditions for him wasn't saving his own life. The win condition for him is always going to be everybody lives. And in every single movie that he shows up, he loses. He loses badly.
Which is not a bad way to write a character.
It's not. And it's amazing because he has spent so much of his life avoiding death, because he doesn't want anybody else to die like his sister died, because he knows that he has the power to save people, and every single time he uses that power, somebody dies.
It's a very good, compelling character arc, though.
Yeah, and the reason why that is so good, because it might not even be subtext at this point, but the reason why it's so good, it's literally saying, you didn't have the power to stop this. Even when you are strong, you never have the power to stop this. It wasn't your fault.
Right. I think that's why the Ancient One in the movies dying is incredibly powerful, is because...
Oh, good!
Right, but
because he can't stop it.
Right? Basically, it is implying this one person was all-powerful, could see through time, could manipulate magic on scales nobody had ever done, and death still came for her. The only thing that she could change about Winn was just, like, slow-motioning her own death, because I'm here to pick you up whether you particularly like it or not. I've got a schedule to keep. We need to go.
We need to go.
And I'm like, you guys are allowed to write, like, immortal being characters and everything. You're allowed to write all-powerful characters. But there is one thing that no matter what you write, that will never, ever be able to be kneecapped, will be able to hand-waved away, or, like, written out of a corner. Death is absolute. No matter what, Death is never going to be out of a job.
No. And it's just like, well, then you can bring them back in other different ways, and it's just like...
Why would you assume Death would let you fuck up its counting system?
Yeah, and it's just like, and there are like stories that are kneecapped, like, oh, they're always going to revive. But...
It takes away the emotional impact.
Yeah, and like, and here's the thing. You can have Death, and you can still have those characters communicate with your people that are alive. How? Because they left a fucking note because they can see through time.
Right? Again, like... There's ways around writing certain things to make it more palatable to the general audience, and then there's ways to write, like, this Mr. Misery thing, where I don't know what 14-year-old boy you're trying to con out of their $45, but it's working.
Yeah. And it's just like, and if... I honestly think that if they did the Mr. Misery storyline in the Marvel movies, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be unironically fantastic.
They're actually gonna have to, like, make it to where he actually has his emotional, like, breakdown.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the reason why they're introducing Clea is if they use a Mystery Misery storyline, they have to have somebody that's set up that he opens up to that isn't literally the only person that he talks to, which is Wong.
Yeah.
Because they can't have him being gay. They can't have him be gay on the Marvel scenes, on the Marvel screens.
We're progressive. Are we finally gonna get a for real gay character? We're not that progressive. I see.
But like, you know, at the same time, that is unironically a fantastic way to write yourself out of a problem of you've made this character gay. How do you make him ungay? You make him fall in love, and you put the time in and make him fall in love authentically with somebody that's the correct gender. It's not a great solution in the sense that you should have gay representation, but if you don't want your characters to be gay in text and you still want that emotional impact, you put the fucking time in to your characters that actually need to fall in love. Damn it.
This is true. And I say this, like, not to be mean, but dear people, you guys trying to just, like, one-shot your love stories, we as the audience would already have to be at, like, the 3/4 marker introduced to this story so we can get to the ending with you. But if it's just we're here from the beginning and get to the end and suddenly they're married with, like, 6 kids and stuff, like, it's... What happened? I've been here from the beginning. This wasn't a love story. It's creepy, but it wasn't a love story.
It wasn't a love story. And the thing about, this is unironically something I've not read, so take us with a grain of salt, but the best thing about the series that I haven't read, the Omnibus Chapter 2, Volume 2, is, while Doctor Strange and Clea do fall in love, you know what they show?
Snippets of their lives together?
Yeah. The one that I opened up to literally had Doctor Strange just making some clothes for his girlfriend, and they went to Times Square and they had a good time until, you know, the bad thing showed up. they just went on a date.
I'm gonna be really, really serious with this, right? If you're just writing it to where the relationship is tenuous and tense and they kind of just stumble into bed together, there's a million ways to write that. But if you want to get from the tenuous relationship to the they actually care about each other, like, moment, you do actually have to make it to where you as the reader at some point get the interpersonal reflections of them going, damn it, I fell in love with them, what the hell?
Right. And the way that they show this is brilliant because Clea is like, oh my god, thank you for the shirt, it's great. And then they go out and he's like, god damn it, I should have got an umbrella, it's snowing. And she goes, no, I like this. I like the snow. And she just like wipes like a snowflake off her cheek, and it's just like, that is how you show people falling in love.
Right.
That is how you show it.
You do not need to have grand stakes like battles galore and things like that. Sometimes the very quiet, soft, uninteresting moments are your best way to make it to where these two are falling hard and there's no way to stop it, but we're not trying to either. Go.
Go. Yeah, and it's just like I honestly think that's one of the big things that like are missing in the 2015 run of Doctor Strange is there's not a character like Leah. There's Zelma, but Zelma is the librarian, and because Doctor Strange has been able to classify her into a role, he no longer thinks of her as a person. He thinks of her as a librarian because Doctor Strange is an asshole. And he does this way of classification of people specifically so he doesn't have to connect to them.
Which, again, is... I'm not gonna call it good. It's interesting to write an emotionally stunted character like that, because you're not the first to do it, but most people that usually get their emotionally stunted character that just classify people as roles and things, when they get to their emotional breakthrough moment, they start to reclassify them still as things, but usually their name gets attached to it.
And like, of course, he like... Actually, I don't know if he calls Selma. Fuck! But like, you know, there's a little bit of element of like she's in his house. It's kind of like the vibe of like Friends, you know, like they all hang out in each other's houses.
Don't you guys have your own apartment to go to?
Exactly, and like, but like the thing is, he's not usually shown in the same room with her. She's in her room, and he walks past her. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And just make sure that he's not in the same room as her. And it's just like, you know, the biggest change that you could make in showing visually a Doctor Strange that is interacting with people is just literally have him just like, you know, just chilling in the same room. And it's just like, "Why are you here, Steven?" And he's just like, "Fuck you."
It's just, again, right? What they do with the comic for Doctor Strange is not necessarily bad, but they could do a whole hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
And
it's just, yeah. And it's like, and that's like, even though like they build up to it, to the I don't love you, they only build up like maybe like 5 pages. If they were seriously planning, and of course this is me assuming attention on their part of actually planning this moment, of having Wong and Doctor Strange have like a relationship like in the comics where like you could buy that there's like something between them, that like love, hate, care for each other, because it shows Wong cooking, and he's cooking really disgusting shit, and in the actual narrative, Wong cooks disgusting shit because that's the only thing that Stephen Strange can eat, because, you know, magic comes with a price. Which means that he's eating food that is disgusting with chopsticks. And I'm just like, sure, this is not Asian food. I'm sure they weren't trying to make a thing like, oh yeah, all Asian food's disgusting. But give that man a fork if he's gonna be eating shit that's gross. Because I don't want to be seeing food eaten and with chopsticks when it's disgusting, because that is racist. I'm sorry. That's the only thing that I can say.
Yeah, that's very true. And with that is the end of the anthology of Stephen Strange. I'm sure that we'll come back to it at some point when I get back up on my I want to talk about this horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And where can they find you?
Nowhere.
If you come join Trans Girl Therapists community, you can find him.
Yeah, I'm vibing there.
Which right now I'm kind of scared to go back into the chat because I guess something happened, and that's a story for another time.